I've been noticing some overlap in conspiracies when it comes to flat earthers. It seems the really deep-end wackaloons, like Hans Wormhat, Odd Reality, and Awake Souls, hold particular beliefs in something called Project Bluebeam. I had initially thought this was a name given to some kind of hologram technology these loonies believe space agencies use for rocket launches.
I already think it's blue beam type technology.
Though I'm not sure how this phenomenon was being achieved in the 1960s.
10, 9, we have ignition sequence start. The engines are on. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
However, my estimate was way off. This well goes much, much deeper, my friends. Let's put on our tinfoil hats so we can better understand this little corner of Crazy Town. Project Bluebeam is a multi-stage plan to enslave humanity using a combination of technology, religion, possible supernatural elements, and, in most iterations, the Antichrist itself. It is a long-term attempt to establish a New Age religion around which the New World Order will make itself known, finally establishing their power over the rest of the world. The first stage of the project involves the destruction of the old gods of the Abrahamic religions through various faked archaeological discoveries that will supposedly disprove them. Of course, the theory doesn't account for a religion's extraordinary resilience to science and facts. For instance, some religious people still believe in the authenticity of the Shroud of Turin, a piece of cloth said to be the material in which the deceased Jesus Christ was wrapped in. However, carbon dating has shown, a long time ago, that the shroud is only about 500 years old. I would really love to know what kind of archaeological find could possibly destroy the faith of billions of people overnight. Stage 2 is where the theory really gets interesting. This stage involves some sort of gigantic light show projected in the sky that will display various deities to the world, sometimes even said to be a personalized deity, however that's supposed to work. Do atheists see a giant spaghetti monster? Do Hindus see one of their 33 million gods? I wish I was exaggerating, but no, Hinduism actually has 33 million deities. Anyway, these various deities will address the peoples of the world in every language before merging into a single deity, the Antichrist. Thus begins the New Age religion that will be the centerpiece of the New World Order and their domination plan. However, here's the problem with this second stage as I see it. We're talking about 21st century human beings here. How exactly are people going to be convinced that this light show isn't just, I don't know, a light show? I have a feeling that if modern day Christians looked up at the sky to see the face of God staring back, they'd be more likely to believe that it's some sort of next level advertisement for Coca-Cola. This kind of smoke and mirrors would really only work with a time machine and used on people who don't know about cell phones. So, what happens after the grand light show? Apparently a few things, mostly designed to cause chaos. A faked alien invasion, a faked rapture, and telepathic communication, possibly using supernatural powers, with every human being on Earth. The end result is to create so much disorder and confusion so as to force the acceptance of the New World Order, and then we'll all be slaves to the satanic baby-sacrificing cult of the ever-faceless They. Now, aside from the complete infeasibility of Bluebeam, there's not a whole lot to debunk here, except for its origins. One thing that interests me is the inability of conspiracy theorists to follow the propagation of information. It's why they're surprised when they talk to us and we already know who Eric Dubay is. The Flurfs don't seem to know, but we know this whole thing started with that 2-bit yoga instructor and his plagiarism of Samuel Robotham and William Carpenter.
Here it goes. Dinosaurs never existed. And by the way,
oh my God, Eric Dubay?
This is the flat Earth guy.
The guy that does 200 proofs the Earth is flat that everybody has debunked.
And like modern flat earthism, we can trace the origins of Bluebeam back to one man, Serge Monast. I'm ashamed to say this guy was French-Canadian. Well, half ashamed. This is Serge here. Dig that beard. What an alpha, right? In his book, Project Bluebeam (NASA), Monast detailed how the operation was going to go down and claimed that it would happen by that year, 1993. And when it didn't, he said it would definitely happen in 1995 or 96. Then, when it still hadn't happened, he said it would totally for sure absolutely happen by the year 2000. Unfortunately, we can't ask him to revise his guesswork a third time, as he died of a heart attack in 1996. Manas's supporters picked up the mantle after his death, and have subsequently attributed everything to evidence for Bluebeam technology. And I mean everything. Here's a short list. HARP, the Norwegian Spiral, chemtrails, FEMA concentration camps, and Tupac Shakur. All of it is linked, somehow, to Bluebeam. Bluebeam is one of those things that crazies like to use as a means of tying all the loose ends together. It's the unified conspiracy that envelops everything else under its umbrella. Some nutters have also claimed that Bill Cooper's 1991 magnum opus Behold a Pale Horse predicted Bluebeam as well, though this claim can only be verified through a combination of cherry-picking and what is known as the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. Bill Cooper was an absolute madman, the conspiracy theorist that other conspiracy theorists wish they could be, and he spent a large portion of his time making prophecy-style predictions. The long list of those predictions is also vague enough that it's very open to interpretation, Nostradamus style. If you plant enough seeds in your fields, eventually one of them is going to start to grow. Just so that you know, Bill Cooper was also the guy who popularized the term sheeple. Thanks for that, Bill. Ostracized himself even from other nutters like Alex Jones and David Icke, and then got himself shot by police. The cops, looking for Bill due to years of fraud and tax evasion, tried to draw him out of his gun-filled home by posing as rowdy teenagers. Bill, like a perfectly rational person, came outside and fired a few high-caliber rounds at them. One hit an officer in the head, wounding him, and the police, generally not liking being shot at, gunned Cooper down. Now, here's the real kicker about Bluebeam. If you take a good look at it, there's a pretty good chance that you can see exactly where Manast got his ideas from. Shortly before he began lecturing about Bluebeam, a book was published about the life and times of Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek. Gene had, in 1975, penned a script for Star Trek the Motion Picture that involved an alien spaceship sending people down to Earth who appeared to be historical prophets, including Jesus of Nazareth. The script contained all of the elements of Project Bluebeam, however it was scrapped and never used. It would later be recycled for an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called Devil's Due. So there you have it. Project Bluebeam is the result of one fat Frenchman and his plagiarism of a science fiction writer. I mean, I can't really blame him. I've always thought the conspiracy theories, while insane, make for some very compelling sci-fi. For instance, one of my favorite metal albums is called Genesis by Job for a Cowboy. It's a concept album that explores the Book of Revelation through a conspiracy lens, describing the rise of the Antichrist and his enslavement of humanity using politics and some kind of demonic version of science. It's completely bonkers, of course, but the lyrics are surprisingly poetic, considering the medium they're delivered through. Additionally, a turn-based strategy game called XCOM 2 has a story heavily inspired by Bluebeam and similar conspiracies. It centers around an alien race that infiltrate the government and use a guise of gene therapy to manipulate humanity for their own nefarious purposes. It even has a doom counter called the Avatar Project, being the final goal of the alien beings. Maybe this is part of what attracts and creates conspiracy theorists. They hear these stories, become fascinated by them, and think too hard on that question of, what if it were true? Before we close out, let's have a laugh at some video evidence, shall we? I've got one here that proposes to show Bluebeam technology at work. Let's see here.
6.5 hours later.
Alright, I've just spent several hours sifting through videos about Bluebeam. I can't think anymore. They're edited like they're intentionally trying to brainwash people, to suck them in with flashing images and little bits of information disseminated slowly throughout the length. It's like watching an Italian giallo film, honestly.
So birds are zombies, people are zombies, a hotel gets infected by zombies. What are you doing?
Can we just...
What are you doing?
Can we just condense all this talking
That was super condensed.
into
You
three
cut the
words?
clips.
Into 3 words. Nonsensical Italian movie.
My brain can't handle it. This dude says the moon is part of Bluebeam.
This was taken right up the road from me in Maine, the state of Maine. And it's an incredible rectangular moon. This right here appears to be a fake moonrise going horribly wrong. That is not a round rock in the sky.
Uh-huh. And what was being used to project the hologram for the tens of thousands of years prior to electricity existing? Was someone just standing on a tall hill with a cutout on his stick?
Step 2. The second step is about creating a gigantic space light show with 3D holograms and sounds, laser projections of multiple holographic images. You'd think holograms are science fiction. Just Google 3D hologram on YouTube.
We think holograms are science fiction? Citation, please. Holograms have been around for a long, long time. You don't even need electronics for a very simple one. Did you never own a Goosebumps novel? These, however, I've seen before. They're called 7D holograms, and are an experimental technology sometimes showcased in Asia or Dubai. If you look very closely, you'll notice that the individuals around the holograms aren't looking at the animals they're attempting to touch. They're looking off camera at a screen, because they can't actually see the hologram before their eyes. Oh man, Dubai is way behind in its hologram game. Do you see the way that thing walked away? Video games look better than that. In conclusion, Bluebeam is a pile of crap. It's completely unfeasible, plays on the fears of technology that many people have, and has less evidence going for it than Flat Earth. And that's saying something. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this madness, remember to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more. If you want to support me further, consider donating on Patreon or visiting one of the links below to purchase some of my work on Amazon or Teespring. If this video made your head hurt, congratulations.